On November 9, 1971, List methodically killed his entire family: Helen, 45, his mother, Alma, 84, and his children Patricia, 16, John, Jr., 15, and Frederick, 13. The murder weapons were his own 9mm Steyr 1912 semi-automatic handgun and his father's Colt .22 caliber revolver. While the children were at school, he shot Helen in the back of the head, and then his mother above the left eye. In the early afternoon he shot Patricia and Frederick in the back of the head as they arrived home. After making himself lunch, List drove to his bank to close his own and his mother's bank accounts, and then to his elder son's school to watch him play in a soccer game. He drove John, Jr. home, then shot him repeatedly in the chest and face. List placed the bodies of his wife and children on sleeping bags in the ballroom of their 19-room Victorian home. He left his mother's body in her apartment in the attic. In a 5-page letter to his pastor, found on the desk in his study, he wrote that he saw too much evil in the world, and he had killed his family to save their souls. He then cleaned the various crime scenes, carefully cut his own picture out of every family photograph in the house, tuned a radio to a religious station, and departed. The murders were not discovered until December 7, nearly a month later, due in part to the family's reclusiveness and refusal to socialize, and in part to notes sent by List to the children's schools and part-time jobs stating that the family would be visiting Helen's mother in North Carolina for several weeks. He also stopped milk, mail and newspaper deliveries. Neighbors noticed that all of the mansion's lights were illuminated day and night, with no apparent activity within. Finally, when the lights began burning out one by one, they called police. The case became the second most notorious crime in New Jersey history, after the kidnapping and murder of the Lindbergh baby. A nationwide manhunt was launched. Police investigated hundreds of leads without success. All reliable photographs of List had been destroyed. The family car was found parked at Kennedy Airport, but there was no evidence that he had boarded a flight. Alma was flown to Frankenmuth, Michigan, and interred at the St. Lawrence Lutheran Cemetery. Helen and her 3 children were buried at Fairview Cemetery in Westfield. 18 years later, on May 21, 1989, the murders were recounted on the television program America's Most Wanted, which at the time had been on the air less than a year. The broadcast featured an age-progressed clay bust, sculpted by forensic artist Frank Bender, which turned out to bear a close resemblance to List's actual appearance. List was located and arrested in Virginia less than 2 weeks after the episode was broadcast.